Hello guys, in this session we want to discuss about log shipping in database administration. So, but before we dive into explaining what is log shipping, we want to discuss some techniques which is very important in our database management. Now, the first one I'm going to discuss about is the single point of failure, right? So, single point of failure. So, let's look at this scenario. When a component fails, and this component failure would cause the entire database to fail. You understand? When the component fails and it causes the entire database to fail, this component failure, this could be hardware component such as a disk or a server, or a software component. It can be a software component such as a critical database process or network connection. All right. So when there is a failure in some of these aspects, so our entire database can fail. So this is what we call single point of failure, right? So, but how can we eliminate this single point of failure? Because if your database fails, that means your entire application that is connected to the database or your entire software is going to fail, and which is a big issue to the company or to the organization as a whole, right? So how can we eliminate this single point of failure? How can we eliminate the failure of our database, right? So there's one called HADR, that is high availability and data and disaster recovery. High availability and disaster recovery. So high availability is a process that you can make your database to be available even after it fails. So if it fails in one place, I want it to be available in another place. If there is a disaster in one place, I want it to be available in another place. So, and disaster recovery, this is a process in which you'll be able to recover your database. You'll be able to restore your database, and mostly it is automatically an instance. So you'll be able to have access to your database. Your database will be available in another place, right? So that's what we call high availability and disaster recovery. So there are some techniques that we'll be using in this high availability and database disaster recovery. So the first one is the backup and restore. Backup and restore. We've discussed this in some of the section of our video. You can go back and watch the video where I explain backup and restore. So in now then another one is called log shipping. Log shipping, which will be our discussion now. Then the next one is we have mirroring. We have what we call mirroring. Right, another one, which is the highest one, we call always on. So the process or the techniques that we can use to eliminate the single point of failure, the failure of our database. When it fails and we'll be able to get our database again, the techniques are these, which is what backup and restore, log shipping, mirroring, and what always on. So in this session, I want to discuss about what we call log shipping. Thank you. Let's move into the practical aspect. Let's practice this log shipping in our database. Now, let's assume I have what we call Microsoft DB. So Microsoft want to back up their database. They want to create a log shipping or high availability disaster recovery in which they are okay. Now, what is log shipping? Log shipping, this is a process of automatically backing up of your database. So you want to automatically back your database and automatically restore them on a scheduled basis, right? So if you look at this first one, which is the backup and restore, this backup and restore is done manually, but others are done what automatically. That's why I said log shipping. This is a process of automatically backing up of your database and restoring them on a scheduled basis. So you don't need to bother yourself on the restoring or the backing up. So this log shipping is going to provide a way that is going to automatically back it up on your database and restore them automatically, right? Okay, so now let's dive into the practical aspect. Firstly, I want to make use of this Microsoft DB, Microsoft database, to what? To to practice the log shipping process. Okay, so if you right click on this, go to your task, then you're going to see ship transaction logs. Click on this, right? Okay, if you don't want to do, you can use another method of getting there. Right click on this, go to properties, then you see transaction log shipping. Click on it. Now another thing is that log shipping make use of two servers or two instances, right? So the first one is known as the primary database, while the second one is also called the secondary database, right? So this first database is the main database, in which if it fails, it will automatically back up. It will be automatically back up, or it will be doing the backup automatically into the secondary database. So it makes use of what? The two database, one in one server, another one in another server. So the first server is known as what? The primary server, while the second one is the secondary server, right? So now what you are going to do, first thing you are going to do is enable this as a primary database in a log shipping configuration. So we want to configure our log shipping. So you are going to enable this Microsoft DB to be your what? Primary database, in which your main application or software is going to be connected with. So click this. You are going to see transaction log backups, right? So and I told us during the explanation that transaction log shipping is based on what? Scheduled basis, right? Schedule. You are going to give it a time to perform the operation. So backup settings, click on backup settings. You can see we have a network path to backup folder. Network path to backup folder. So this network path is telling you that okay, wait, but before we go there, before we go to that aspect, log shipping does three things, right? The first thing it does is that it's going to back up the database in the primary server, right? Then the secondary server is going to copy. That's the second stage. The secondary server is going to copy the backup from the primary server, is going to copy it. After copying it into a file, then it's going to restore. That is third stage. It's going to restore the backup into the secondary server or into the secondary database. Okay, so that's the three stages of log shipping. So now it's asking, our configuration is asking us that the network path to back up your folder. So where do you want to back up your folder? Let me go to my file explorer. I have a backup here. So this log shipping, we have a log ship. I created a log shipping folder, so I can share. I'll click on sharing, click on share, then click on everyone, read and write, and click on share. Done. So you have this as your share path. So copy it and paste it. So copy it and paste this. Okay, right. Okay, no, not this. Good. So we have it here and paste. So this is the location or the destination of our backup folder. Now, if the backup folder is located on the primary server, type a local path to the folder. So it's located on the primary server. So I want to I want it to back up here. So right click this place and copy this part, then put it here. This is the part. Okay, so now, so this is what we call backup job. Backup job. A backup job is one that's going to carry out the execution automatically. So job in database will automatically carries out execution on our database. Okay, so the job name is this ls backup Microsoft DB. So this schedule, as we said, it's based on schedule. So occurs every day 15 minutes, but I don't want it to occur every day 15 minutes. I want it to occur every minute. So I can click on the schedule here, right? So you can see I want it to be occurring every time. That's why you click on reoccurring. So occurs daily. That's once day, one in the day. That's daily, right? So occurs every 1 minute. This 15 minutes is too much for me. I want it to occur every 1 minute. So starting at 12 a.m. every day and ending at 11:59. So no end date. So description occurs every 15 minutes. Okay, so I think it's supposed to change, right? Good. Occurs every 1 minute between 12 a.m. and 11:59. Schedule will be starting on this date. So I'll click on OK. Good. Okay. So can you see now, once every day, every 1 minute, it will be performing our backup for log shipping, right? So now you can click on OK. That means you are done with the primary server. So now if you look at here, you will see secondary database, secondary server instance. So it needs an instance, or it needs, where do we want to restore, where do we want to get our backup. So click on add. So secondary server instance. So the second, which server do you want to make as your secondary server? So click on connect. So I want SQL02 to be my server, the secondary server instance. Click on connect. So secondary database. So I want it to have the same name, Microsoft DB. Right. So now the next thing you are going to do here is that you must restore a full backup. So it's telling us that we need to restore a full backup, but it gives you an option that yes, do you want the management studio to restore a backup in the secondary database? Yes. Then I need a full backup of the primary database and restore it into the secondary database. So it will be able to generate a backup for you guys. Now move to the copy files section. So these files are copied from backup folder to a destination folder. So when you want to copy, as I said before, that it's going to copy the backup that you have in your primary database. It's going to copy it into the server, the secondary server. So where do you want it to copy it to? Right? So, but don't forget, they said, note, they said you must grant read and write permission. Okay. Destination folder for copied files. This folder is usually located on the secondary server. It's usually located on the secondary server. Okay, now this is my server. This is my first server. This is my primary server. Where is my secondary server? I'm going here now. All right. So I want to confirm where I want to copy the file inside my secondary server. Okay, let's go to File Explorer in my secondary server. If you look at it, I'm in DBA2. Right, so backup. I want to have it in backup file. So okay, let me delete all this. Delete. I don't want this. Okay, so from here you'll be able to, I want it to back up in the log shipping folder. So copy it, copy, right? So DBA1. So I want it to back up here. It's going to back it up here inside my secondary server. So then the next thing is that you give it a time schedule, right? Schedule, copy job. Can you see it now? Or call, so it's going to copy every 15 minutes. But I don't want it to do that. I want it to copy every 1 minute, copy our database every 1 minute, so that we'll be able to have the latest one as soon as possible. So occurs, look at the description. Occurs every day 1 minute. So click on OK. Now the next thing to do is click on OK here, then click on OK. Good. So can you see now? Backing up primary database, Microsoft DB, success. Restoring to secondary database, success. Saving secondary destination configuration, success. Saving primary backup setup, success. So our configuration of our log shipping is done. So click on close. Now, how do you check if you've done a log shipping in your database? You've configured a log shipping in your database. Okay, I said these are primary server, while this one is our secondary server. So if you go to your primary server, this is our primary database, which is the Microsoft DB. Now, if you go to your secondary database, expand it, you can see you can have Microsoft DB on standby mode. So that means you are on a log shipping, which is on standby mode. Now, the next thing I told us that log shipping has three processes. The first one is the backup. So it's going to back up our database automatically. So if you go to your agent, so the jobs under our agent, they are going to perform the execution automatically. Jobs, we have ls backup Microsoft DB. So this will allow the backup of our database automatically. Right. So okay, so you can minimize that. Then if you go to your SQL Server secondary server, go to your agent. Under the agent, you are going to see jobs. Under our job, you are going to see copy, Microsoft DB copy, then Microsoft DB restore. So ls copy and ls restore. This ls copy is going to copy the database, the backup from the primary server, and copy it into our what secondary server. And after copying it, it's going to what? It's going to the database directly. It's going to restore the database.